Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtukrayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, text number 30. So further it is spoken about devotees and the association and how can, if they remain in the association, they'll remain fixed up and out of the clutches of Maya. Paraspara anukathanam pavanam bhagvat yashah mitho ratir mithas tushtir nivrittir mith atmanah. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is a cause of all suffering. So, easily said in one shloka only, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them and to do what? To chant the glories of the Lord, whether we do Krishna Katha or Harinam Sankirtan, as this process is most purifying. And when they do that, the devotees feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification. So the process is clear, it's given everywhere. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness should not envy one another or quarrel among themselves. Giving up all such mundane feelings, they should gather together and chant the glories of the Supreme Lord for mutual purification. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that glorification of the Supreme Lord is especially potent when performed in the association of pure devotees. When devotees engage in Sankirtan, chanting the glories of the Lord together, they experience the highest transcendental bliss and satisfaction. Thus, they encourage one another to give up material sense gratification, which is based on illicit sexual connections with women. One devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification. Starting today, I shall also give it up." So this is the power of association of devotees. One should learn to increase one's love for the devotees, to satisfy them, and to give up sense objects unfavorable to serving Krishna. And one should learn to view the entire universe as paraphernalia for the Lord's service. By engaging the objects of the senses in Krishna's service, one automatically becomes detached from them. And as one passes one's days in the association of the Lord's devotees, one's transcendental ecstasy increases more and more through discussions about the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one who wants to be free from the harassment of Maya in the form of sense gratification must constantly associate with pure devotees of the Lord who have no engagement other than chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord and carrying out his mission on earth. Srila Madhvacharya has pointed out that just as one should cultivate friendship with devotees, one must cultivate the spirit of friendship towards the demigods who manage the universe on the Lord's behalf. Thus, one should live peacefully within this world. So that's how we make progress. Okay, text 31. Smaranta smarayantascha mitho aghogar haram harim bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya vibhrati ut pulkam tanum. The devotees of the Lord constantly discuss the glories of the personality of Godhead among themselves. Thus, they constantly remember the Lord and remind one another of his qualities and pastimes. In this way, by their devotion to the principles of Bhakti Yoga, the devotees please the personality of Godhead, who takes away from them everything inauspicious. Being purified of all impediments, the devotees awaken to pure love of Godhead, and thus, even within this world, their spiritualized bodies exhibit symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, such as standing of the bodily hairs on end. So this is this. Then he develops this Ashtasattvic Vikar. This is what happens when we associate with the devotees and we constantly remember the Lord and remind one another of his qualities and pastimes. The word Aghoga Haram is very significant in this verse. Agha refers to that which is inauspicious or sinful. The living entity is actually Satchidananda Vigraha, or eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. But by neglecting his eternal relationship with Krishna, the personality of Godhead, he commits sinful activities and undergoes the inauspicious result in the form of material suffering. The chain of sinful reactions is called Ogha, or a relentless wave of suffering. Krishna is Aghoga Haram Harim. He takes away the sinful reactions of his devotees, who are thus entitled to experience the inconceivable bliss of the kingdom of God, even while remaining in this world. So Aghoga Haram Harim. So this is Krishna. Even removes the sinful reactions of his devotees. He also removes the propensity to commit sinful acts, but he removes the sinful reactions also. And the devotees are thus entitled to do what? Experience the inconceivable bliss of the kingdom of God. Because of sinful reactions, we were supposed to suffer. But Krishna, what he does for his devotees, he removes the sinfulness so that devotees can experience the inconceivable bliss of the kingdom of God, even while remaining in this world. This is the power of bhakti. The words bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya indicate that there are two divisions of bhakti yoga, sadhana bhakti and raganuga bhakti. Srila Prabhupada has elaborately explained in his book, The Nectar of Devotion, the progress of the devotee from sadhana bhakti, or the execution of regulative principles, to raganuga bhakti, or service executed in love of Godhead. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a liberated soul is always enthusiastic due to the appearance of transcendental ecstasy within his body. Thus, he always aspires to remain overwhelmed in chanting the glories of the personality of Godhead, Hari. So this is our test. How much we love to sit down and chant the glories of the Lord. Chanting the glories of the Lord means chanting his holy names, chanting his pastimes, describing his pastimes. And this is, as Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, a liberated soul is always enthusiastic due to the appearance of transcendental ecstasy within his body, enthusiastic to serve the Lord, to glorify the Lord. This is what a devotee wants to do, nothing else. Text 32. Kvachit rudanti achyut chintaya kvachit asanti nandanti vadanti alokika nrityanti gayanti anushiliyanti ajam bhavanti tushnim parametya nivritaha. Having achieved love of Godhead, the devotees sometimes weep loudly, absorbed in thought of the infallible Lord. Sometimes they laugh, feel great pleasure, speak out loud to the Lord, dance or sing. Such devotees, having transcended material conditioned life, sometimes imitate the unborn Supreme by acting out his pastimes. And sometimes achieving his personal audience, they remain peaceful and silent. So different kind of vikar or expressions can be in the body of the devotee. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained the symptoms of love of Godhead. Rudanti. The devotees cry, thinking another day has passed and still I could not obtain Krishna. Then what will I do? Where will I go? From whom shall I inquire? And who can possibly help me reach Krishna? And this is the symptoms of devotees who are constantly absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. And they are crying that I don't have Krishna. How can I obtain Krishna? And what to speak of us? We are crying, I don't have best laptop or best iPhone or best car. We cry for all the material possessions. And devotees are crying for Krishna. Hasanti, it is late at night, the sky is dark, and Krishna is determined to steal from the house of one of the elderly gopis. He is hiding underneath a tree in the corner of the courtyard belonging to one of the cowherd men. Although Krishna thinks that he is completely concealed, he suddenly hears a voice from one of the elderly members of the family. Who are you there? Who are you? I say. As Krishna has been caught, and he begins to flee the courtyard. When this humorous scene is revealed to the devotee begins to laugh heartily. The devotee, although this same pastime must have heard thousands of times, but still whenever he sees or thinks of this pastime or any other pastime, especially when Krishna is very naughty, his Bal Leela, he just laughs and laughs and laughs. Shutkirti Prabhu, who was Prabhupada's servant, he said he was once reading Krishna book to Prabhupada. Prabhupada asked him to read Krishna book. So one of pastimes of killing of the demons by Krishna, and Shutkirti Prabhu was reading this. From external point of view, Prabhupada is the one who wrote that book. But Prabhupada said, Krishna dictated it to me, I just wrote it. But anyway, regardless, Shutkirti Prabhu was reading the past, and Prabhupada was laughing and laughing, and he was slapping his thigh, thinking how Krishna must have killed this demon. That is complete absorption in Krishna and his pastimes. Nandanti, when Krishna actually reveals his transcendental form to the devotee experiences the highest transcendental bliss. And he's enjoying. Nandanti. Vadanti, the devotee says to the Lord, "Oh Krishna, after so many days, I have finally achieved you." When all of the devotee's senses are absorbed in Shri Krishna, the devotee has successfully transcended the material condition of life. This is indicated by the word alokika. Alokika, or the transcendental platform, is explained by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita. Mam jayo vyavicharena. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Then he becomes alokik, or he is situated on the transcendental platform. He's not on the material platform. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Ajam Harim Anushilayanti Talililam Abhinayanti. Anushilayanti indicates that out of extreme ecstasy, the devotees sometimes imitate or act out the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. This ecstatic symptom was manifested by the gopis in Vrindavan during Krishna's absence, when they were looking for Krishna after Krishna disappeared from the middle of Ras Leela, and they started to enact his pastimes. In verse 21 of this chapter, it was stated that one who has understood that there is no happiness either on earth or in material heaven must surrender at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. The following verses give many detailed instructions regarding the activities of a bona fide disciple. Now, this verse is describing the mature fruit of devotional service, namely pure love of Godhead. Everyone has the opportunity to come to this platform of transcendental bliss. by taking the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna's representative on his head. One should give up the mentality of envy and false prestige and humbly take shelter of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So very, very important. One should give up the mentality of envy and false prestige. But it's just so difficult to give it up and humbly take shelter of the mercy of the Lord. The spiritual master is to be considered the incarnation of the Lord's mercy. There is absolutely no doubt that a sincere soul who serves a bona fide spiritual master will achieve the highest perfection of life, Shreya Uttama. He will enjoy eternal bliss and knowledge in the personal abode of the Lord. But it doesn't come just like that. We have to work hard. Without envy, with full humility, we have to serve each other, engage in the chanting and hearing about the Lord, glories of the Lord, and serve the spiritual master, serve the devotees. And then slowly we'll come to the stage where we can be engaged completely, absorbed completely in the service of the Lord. Iti bhagavatam dharman shikshan bhaktya taduttaya narayana paro mayam manjastarti tustaram. Thus learning the science of devotional service and practically engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, the devotee comes to the stage of love of Godhead. And by complete devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, the devotee easily crosses over the illusory energy Maya, which is extremely difficult to cross. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, those who take shelter of me, and they easily cross over Maya. But how to take shelter of him? This is what these verses have explained, Bhagavad Dharma. Srila Jiva Goswami has pointed out that mukti or liberation, which is described in this verse by the words Maya Manjastarti Dustaram, is actually a byproduct or secondary result of pure love of Godhead. In the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is pointed out, Dharma projito katavatra parmo nirvatsaranam satam. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches the science of devotion service, in which the ultimate goal is pure love of Godhead. According to the Vaishnava Acharyas, mukti or liberation is a byproduct of love of Godhead. Mukti is just, in fact, not just mukti, mukti, bhukti. They both are standing with folded hands at the door of a devotee, asking him to let us in. And devotee doesn't care. He only wants bhakti, not just any bhakti. Anya bilashita shunyam, that kind of bhakti, pure devotional service, that's what he wants. One should not approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for liberation, since one is automatically liberated by obeying the order of the Lord. Krishna's order is given at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Yesterday we had the discussion about this dharma topic or the word dharma. It is written, every living being should give up his mundane conceptions of life. That is what we have thought of as dharma, and take full shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. If one carries out this order, the Lord automatically provides liberation. Actual happiness comes from loving God without any tinge of material or mental speculation or fruitive desire. So loving God, loving, pure love of God, and that's what we have to develop. Anya bhilashita shunya, jnana karamadi anavarita. One should render transcendental loving service to the Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. So crossing over the insurmountable ocean of illusion is described here is not actually the principal result of Bhagavad Dharma or devotional service to the Lord, but is a byproduct, and not just a byproduct, it's a very insignificant byproduct of pure love of Godhead. So here the fourth Yogendra has spoken, and now fifth question by Maharaj Nimi. Shri Rajavacha Narayana Vidhanasya Brahmana Paramatmana Nishtam Arhat no Bhaktam Yuyam Hi Brahma Vittamaha. King Nimi inquired, please explain to me the transcendental situation of the Supreme Lord Narayan, who is himself the absolute truth and the super soul of everyone. You can explain this to me because you're all most expert in transcendental knowledge. So after talking about Maya and how to get out of the clutches of Maya, Maharaj Nemi is asking about the Supreme Lord, Narayan. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, in the previous verse, the sages informed the king, Narayana Paro Mayam Anjastarati Dustaram. Simply by unalloyed devotion to Lord Narayan, one can very easily cross over the ocean of material illusion. Therefore, in this verse, the king is requesting specific information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. It is significant in this verse that the king refers to the Supreme Lord as Narayan, Brahman, and Paramatma. Although King Nimi is already understood to be a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his question he wants to clarify that the Personality of Godhead is the highest transcendental truth. So who is himself the absolute truth and the super soul of everyone, means he knows that Narayan or Bhagwan is Brahma Jyoti and Paramatma at the same time, but he wants the sages to confirm this. In Bhagavatam, it is a Vadanti Tattva Tattva Vidas, learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth, call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. Therefore, it is to be understood that the word Narayan in this verse refers to the Bhagwan feature of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. Generally, the speculative philosophers become attracted to the impersonal Brahman feature of the absolute truth, whereas the mystic yogis meditate upon the Paramatma, the super soul within everyone's heart. On the other hand, those who have achieved mature transcendental knowledge surrender directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan, who is eternally situated in his own abode, called Vaikuntha Dham. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna clearly says, Brahmano hi pratistham. I am the source of the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam that the super soul, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, is a secondary plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. King Nimi wants the sages to make clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original feature of the Absolute Truth, and therefore he places his question before the next of the 9 Yogendras, Pipalayan. So Pipalayan Muni will now speak. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the word Nishtha can also be translated as firm faith. In this sense, Nimi Maharaj is inquiring about the process of developing perfect faith in the Supreme Lord, Bhagwan Nishtha. So now Pipalayan ji will start speaking. Shri Pipalayan Uvacha Sthiti Udbhava Pralaya Hetura Heturasya Yatta Swapna Jagarasu Shupti Sad Bahishcha Dehendriya Suridyani Charanti Yena Sanjivitani Tadvehi Param Narendra. Shri Pipalayan said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. Yet, he has no prior cause. Anadir Adira Govinda, that is Supreme Lord. He pervades the various states of wakefulness, dreaming, and unconscious deep sleep, and also exists beyond them. By entering the body of every living being as the super soul, he enlivens the body, senses, life airs, and mental activities. And thus all the subtle and gross organs of the body begin their functions. My dear king, know that the personality of Godhead to be the supreme. So personality of Godhead is supreme, not Brahmjyoti, no, not something else. In the previous verse, King Nimi inquired about various aspects of the absolute truth, namely Narayan, Brahman, and Paramatma. Now the sage Sri Pepalayan explains these three features of the absolute truth in the same order in which the king mentioned them. Sthiti Udbhav Pralaya Hetu refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who expands himself as a triple Purusha incarnations, Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So many times devotees get confused when people ask, who's this? When people say, oh, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are the Supreme. So when they say so, just ask them, which Vishnu? Because Supreme Lord expands himself as triple Purusha, means Mahavishnu, the second is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and third is Kshirodaksha Vishnu. Then people get confused. Oh, there are three Vishnus? We didn't know that. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. So this is all explained in the Sankhya Yoga philosophy. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. The Supreme Personality of God and Narayan is mentioned here as Hetu, or the supreme cause of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the cosmic situation. So he is the original cause. Still, there is no cause of the Lord himself. He is a Hetu. As expressed in the Brahma Samhita, Anadir Govinda. The Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. And being the eternal, absolute truth, he has no cause for himself. The word ahetu has also been explained by Srila Jiva Goswami to indicate that the Supreme Lord has his original form as Krishna in his own transcendental abode called Krishna Loka. Since Krishna is always engaged in his blissful pastimes, in the company of his eternally liberated associates, he is aloof from the affairs of this world, which is created by his external potency known as Maya. So aloof means he doesn't interfere, but Maya is also his energy. So everything is under his control. Therefore, it is stated, Jagrehe Paurusham Rupam. The Lord expands himself as Narayan and Vishnu to facilitate the gross illusion and gradual rectification of the conditioned souls. The Lord's aloofness from the material creation is also described in the Vedas. The absolute truth has nothing to do, since everything is done self-sufficiently by his multi-potencies. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that even though the Supreme Lord Krishna is ahetu, or causeless and aloof from the cause of material creation, the Lord is also described in this word as hetu, or the ultimate cause of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation, because he expands himself as Paramatma, the Super Soul, who acts as a prime mover of the cosmic manifestation. So without him, nothing can function, nothing can exist. So, well, still the purport is long and it will go on. So we'll stop here and we'll take up the purport, the rest of the purport tomorrow. And see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, what is bhukti? When we say mukti and bhukti?
Bhukti means to enjoy, bhogana.
Acha, okay.
So Krishna can give all these. These are very easy for him to give. Bhukti and mukti, not bhakti. That's where the problem is.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Chalo, we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Jai